these DNA tests for ethnicity are entertainment value only?
William Gilliland is a biology professor at DePaul. He says DNA kits can be great for connecting family members and finding relatives, but the science for ethnicity testing isn't as concrete.
There's nothing that confident for ethnicity. There's no diagnostic nucleotide. You can say this person is from Europe, this person's from Africa.
I actually saw a video of you recently online regarding DNA studies. And I did have...
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I'm very, very curious about something that you said, because now I'm concerned with my son's DNA test. So, okay, so you are a lead professor at that university. What's the name of the university again?
I am a professor at DePaul University in Chicago.
DePaul University in Chicago. And just to verify, this is William Gilliland, correct?
That's me, yes.
And you recently did an interview with Fox News regarding DNA research.
Well, that was like 10 years ago.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. And so I have a question, because I'm very confused by what I just saw. So there was an interview wherein you were indicating that you could not verify ethnicity through the DNA test, and they were for entertainment purposes.
Right. So what I meant by that, there's theoretical underpinning for relatedness. When you take a paternity test, we have really good mathematical understanding of how DNA works in a population of individuals. And the probability that two people are related can be calculated to that possibility. So two people who share 50% of their DNA variances, the differences that are present that we know about, you can say that it is like 300 million times more likely for those two people to be parent and child rather than two unrelated strangers.
Okay. I'm following.
But we don't have that underpinning theory for ethnicity.
Okay.
So ethnicity is, it doesn't come out of the population genetics.
Okay.
We can say that there are variants that are often associated with certain ethnic groups, but those variants can also be found in other ethnic groups.
Okay, now that makes sense.
Okay, so I would change my answer in I believe it was 2015 was when I did that interview.
Okay.
I would change my answer based on the work that has been done since.
Okay.
We can use DNA variation to make statements about not ethnicity, but regionality, the part of the world where someone came from.
Thank you.
Because there are variants that arise in those areas.
Okay.
And are spread among the population there. But that does not necessarily map onto ethnic groups.
Okay,
those same variants can be found in multiple ethnic groups in that area, but it is unique to that geographical location.
Okay, so I feel better because, so my son is African American on my side, and his father's side is Belizean, right? So when he did his DNA test, he didn't disclose his real name originally. I told him just to put a random name because I had already taken mine, right? So I was, I'm like, well, there's public records. I just wanted to make sure there was no way that it could be said that, well, they knew that you all were related and so forth and so on. So I told him to do it anonymously. Right. So I came back as his mother, right? The same regions,
entirely expected.
Right. So the same regions from Africa that showed up on my DNA test also showed up on his, and Belize showed up on his as well. The Garifuna showed up on his as well, and him being 17% Mayan or Yucatan showed up on his as well. And so I found that very fascinating, considering he didn't disclose any information. And we know he's Belizean, half Belizean, and Belize popped up. I already knew about the Garifuna in his family. Garifuna popped up. regions that his grandmother's people are from, they also popped up. So I was thrown off when that was said, because I'm like, well, it told him that he was indigenous, or that he had a high percentage of indigeneity, and it also narrowed it down to Belize, and the Garifuna, and those are ethnic. That's an ethnic group. So I was a bit confused by your statement. How was it able to narrow him down to Garifuna, and that actually is one of his ethnic groups?
Well, if they have other members of that ethnic group in their database, they can identify similarity.
I got you
with it.
Because it seems,
okay.
Wouldn't you say that that's pretty accurate, considering that that is his ethnic background? Like, those are one of the
right,
ethnic
but
groups.
That ethnic group also comes from a geographical location, right?
Yes. Yeah, so it narrowed it down to the location, Belize,
yeah.
Garifuna. So would you say that it's still for entertainment purposes only, or would you say there's some validity to it?
I think that the fact that they have now added millions of people to their database, and they have self-reported ethnicity from a lot of those people, they are able to make better guesses, I think is a better way to say it. So nowadays, they have a lot more data, and they've done a lot more analysis, and they can make some statements that are getting closer to being correct.
In your research, and I don't know if you've looked into this, but have you ran across any studies that would indicate that there was an African presence in America pre-colonialism?
I have not come across that. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. It's just that's not the area that I study.
Okay.
So I was explaining the science for the news company, but I don't do that kind of DNA testing and regional analysis. But I've read about it, and I know the technology. So
okay, yeah, because there's this misunderstanding, or this myth within the African American community that Black people actually started sprang up in America rather than Africa, and that there was a backwards migration from America to Africa. So while you were in school, did you learn anything regarding a backward migration?
Is that like in the last few hundred years, or is this like thousands of years ago?
Well, I can't get them to pinpoint, because there's different groups within the African American community that propose this.
If the story is that people in the New World migrated back to the Old World in the last few hundred years, that's entirely plausible.
Right.
If the idea is that human beings originated in South America or Central America and then colonized and then populated Africa from there, then that is definitely not true.
Yes, the idea
we
is
have
that
fossil evidence showing that hominids evolved in Africa and West Asia as the origin of the human species.
Okay.
We have that very well established for that area.
So so that's my next question. So there were human remains that were so the DNA were studied. The DNA of those human remains were extracted and analyzed, correct?
Right.
And
correct.
then
and we have, for instance, we have multiple individual Homo sapiens. We have multiple individual Neanderthals, which was a closely related species that actually interbred with humans. And so we know that about 3% of the human genome is derived from Neanderthals, for example. And those remains are all in Europe and Africa and West Asia.